So this is like playtime. I mean, you guys have a real job to begin with, and it doesn't even start for another month and a half. You're already starting off the year with new watches on your wrist, smell like champagne, victory circle. I don't know, not bad for extracurricular activity.
No, it's fantastic. But any time we come to a racetrack, we want to win, and obviously with the team, that's what you got to try and do as well. So, I think it's been a while since the '02 cars won, and I was a part of that in 2006. But obviously the '01's won. God, I think 4 since then. So it's obviously the team has done a great job and got a lot of Rolex watches, but it's nice to team up. I think for us, this year and even last year, and other years that I've been with Jamie, but this combination, we've just had so much fun and nobody's out there to prove a point. We just wanted to look after the car and hopefully, one of us were in a position at the end of the race to try and go for a win.
Tony, tell me a little bit about how this race goes down. So during a normal IndyCar race, under less than 2 hours, we'll have some cautions, we'll have pit stops. You don't get to just go hardcore for 2 hours plus or multiple stints. What's it like, just maximum attack for multiple stints, 1, 2, 3 hours in a row? Do you enjoy that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot. I think, like Scott said, one thing that it was good about this '02 lineup was I think every single driver in this car today, it's well established in their career. So we're not here to prove a point to somebody in the team, which sometimes happen because we're drivers. We have a tendency to compare lap times and say, "Wow, but the track was better and the weather," and that's normal. And then I think that was the biggest secret. But to answer your question, I think this race is becoming an IndyCar race, to be honest. I mean, I haven't done a stint that I said, "Well, I've driven at 90, 80%. Scott, obviously, in the beginning of the race, because he started pretty strong, but he was able, because he was the leader, to hold the pace. But after that, I mean, I was just fighting with the 5 and the 10 the entire race. And like I said, I mean, we decided to change things a bit. We've driven a little bit longer this race so we could rest more. And man, at the end of the stint, I was like, "Oh, I got to do another 4 hours later on," because it was a big fight. So competition was tough, and we had to play. At the same time, you have to drive fast, but you have to deal with all the traffic and the stuff that sometimes is just they have a tendency to fall off like at the wrong places every time, like the bus stop. So it's been fun, but it was a hard race.
Last question for you guys on this topic. You guys have 2 young teammates, one in Kyle and another one in Mr. Sage Karam. I don't know if they understand how good they are, because you listen to them, I wish I could do more, wish I could do better. And you guys are like, "No, you're fine." Tell me about them. They don't know how good they are, but you guys get to see how truly talented they are.
Yeah, Kyle's hilarious. He obviously, this is with Sage. It's a little more closer to home. Sports car racing and IndyCar. They're fairly close in feel and things like that. But Kyle, even earlier today in the press conference, saying that he did a really bad job last year, where it wasn't the case. He made a couple of mistakes, but as I said, I think up there that he ended up, I think, probably with the fastest time in the car actually from this race. So it's funny to it's good to see though. They're not out there blowing their horn. They're not out there, thinking they're the world's greatest driver. They're really good, down-to-earth people, and I think that's why, they're going to be extremely successful. And I haven't spent a whole lot of time with Sage, but the time that I have, he's similar too. And it's great, to see the young talent coming through, and a team like this kind of, taking that under their wing. They don't have to. This team doesn't have to do that kind of stuff. They can hire whoever they want and go and win races. And, to take on these young kids like Sage and obviously Kyle, is pretty special. But, I think, it's going to reward them very, very well in the future.
Awesome. One more question for you guys for IndyCar. Check. Gents, IndyCar champions, Indy 500 winners, standing in victory lane in Daytona. We're used to seeing that in Indianapolis. What does this mean to you guys? Dix, this isn't your first time, but TK, boy, beautiful watching you guys up there representing the IndyCar community. What did it feel like standing up there in Daytona?
I mean, pretty special, I have to say. We race against each other all the time. We became teammates, and we've learned how to respect each other a long time ago. But to do this, it's just part of history. I mean, for us, and you know what I'm talking about, me, you, Robin Miller, the guys that we like to talk about history. And one day, I'm pretty sure you're going to be sitting at a table, having a beer somewhere, and we're going to remember those and what the lineup was and how fun this was. So this is not just a win. It's not just about getting a watch. It's making history, and I think this guy on my left here is he's big part of an America history as far as winning championships and 500s. I'm glad that I made it as well. So I think we have one to add to our curriculum, and we can brag about it together.
All right, Dixon, I'm trying not to embarrass you here, but in IndyCar, we talk about regularly, God, that guy's good. I mean, do people really understand how good he is? But we know you. We expect that. It was kind of cute listening to folks here, sports car reporters and such, who don't know the Scott Dixon experience. Hey, boy, wow, how was that? You're really quick. You appreciate that you get to maybe come and show what you're capable of doing to those who maybe aren't familiar with your body of work?
I feel very fortunate. This is, I think, my 14th or 15th year with the team, and a lot of results that I've had are because of this team. I've won all but one race in IndyCar with this team. 500s, championships. TK, can vouch for that and how special it is, not just for, the speed that you have, but obviously the whole group of people that you get to work with, and I love racing, as Tony and everybody on the team. That's what it's all about. We could have real jobs. I'm not sure what the hell I would do. I don't know what Tony would do. So
fast pizza delivery.
Yeah. So it's all I can say is a lot of all my racing and accolades. A lot of credit goes to the team. I have fierce competitors, and obviously Tony, it's been fantastic to team up with him, this year, and obviously he closed out the season with the W and has been able to, follow that through the winter, which is fantastic, and hopefully, us and the other two, drivers on the team can really push through to next year, and hopefully one of us can capture another championship for the team.
Last question. All right, TK. So 14 of the 33 drivers who took part in the 2014 Indianapolis 500 competed this weekend at Daytona. When you're coming up on a Rubens, a Hunter Ray, some of these other guys, you tempted to kind of feed him a wheel, show him who's boss?
Actually, it's funny because my relationship with Rubens, and he was obviously called last minute to do this race, and obviously we take this race very serious, but I remember during the night, I knew he was in the car, and it happened that I was about to lap him, and I just, we have the flashlight. I just take him. I just kept flashing the entire time, and it was like 3 corners. I had to follow him, and I can see him. He couldn't flash me because obviously but he kept hitting the brakes 3 or 4 times, so I could see his brake lights. So that was just the code. But it's funny because they left the race early. He drove home to Orlando, and he was texting me in the last hour. And it's nice to race against friends, to race against, if you talk about how good IndyCar is, we put how many drivers in this race, and and 2 of us won. So it shows our potential.
Amen.